The savage jungle. When apex predators cross paths with an unstoppable force in the heart of the wild, where every moment is a life or death struggle, some battles are not just about survival. They are about sheer, unyielding power. We often think of lions and crocodiles as the undisputed kings of the African savanna. But what happens when their path crosses with a creature so massive and so aggressive, it redefines the food chain? The hippo. A herbivore by definition, but a force of nature by reputation. This is not a friendly encounter. This is raw, brutal nature at its most savage. The hunted becomes the hunter. A lone lion, a seasoned hunter, found itself in the wrong place at the wrong time. It had just made a kill, a small antelope, and was dragging it towards the riverbank. But the scent of fresh blood attracted an unwanted audience. A gigantic hippo. This was not a territorial dispute. The hippo, without any warning, charged the lion. It wasn't a chase. It was a brutal, relentless assault. The lion, a symbol of courage and strength, was suddenly a terrified kitten. It abandoned its kill and scrambled up the muddy bank, narrowly escaping the crushing jaws of the hippo. It was a humbling moment, a stark reminder that even the king can be a victim. The hippo's charge was a display of primal rage, an act of dominance that left no room for doubt about who ruled this stretch of the river. The lion, panting and visibly shaken, watched from a distance as the hippo simply stood there, a silent, menacing silhouette against the setting sun. The price of arrogance crocodiles are the silent killers of the river, masters of ambush. A lie in wait, half submerged, a living log with a deadly secret. But this time, the hunters found themselves the prey. Two massive crocodiles, having just feasted on a wildebeest, were basking in the sun, bellies full and guard down. A group of hippos, including a few young calves, was approaching the water's edge. The crocodiles, perhaps feeling overconfident, made a fatal mistake. They hissed and snapped, trying to intimidate the group. The response was immediate and terrifying. The entire hippopod, a swirling mass of fury, turned on the two reptiles. They were bitten, trampled, and rammed with a force that could crack concrete. The water turned a bloody red as the hippos taught the crocodiles a brutal lesson. Never challenge a hippo in its territory. One of the crocodiles was lifted clean out of the water, its body thrashing in a desperate, futile attempt to escape. The other was pinned against the bank, a dozen angry hippos biting and tearing at its armored hide. It was a vicious, coordinated attack that ended with the hippos simply leaving the mangled remains behind, a gruesome warning to any other predator who dared to get too close. A battle of titans. A rhino is a biological tank, a horned fortress on four legs. Its sheer power and intimidating presence make it an animal few predators would dare to provoke. But hippos are not just any animal. This particular rhino, a large male, had a reputation for aggression. It had chased off elephants and even a pride of lions. It wandered down to a watering hole, expecting to have it all to itself. What it didn't expect was a challenge from two male hippos. The scene was pure drama. The hippos didn't just defend their turf. They attacked. They rammed the rhino, forcing it back with their immense weight. One hippo grabbed the rhino's leg in a bone-crushing grip. The rhino roared in pain and frustration, but it was no match for the combined force of the two hippos. It was driven away, defeated and humiliated, a testament to the hippo's savage power. The hippo, after its victory, simply returned to the water, the victor of a silent, brutal war for dominance. The unexpected showdown hyenas are known for their cunning and tenacity. They are scavengers and opportunistic hunters, fearless in the face of danger. But this bold hyena made a grave miscalculation. It had been following a lone hippo for a few hours, waiting for a moment of weakness. It crept closer, perhaps hoping to steal a bite of something, a misguided act of bravado. The hippo, a massive creature lying in the mud, seemed oblivious. But in an instant, That calm turned into an explosion of violence. The hippo erupted, its jaws wide, a terrifying cavern of teeth and rage. The hyena, caught completely off guard, scrambled to escape. It was a close call, a life-and-death chase that ended with the hyena escaping by a hair's breadth. The hippo, after its brief and furious display, returned to its rest, a silent message sent. It was a reminder that even the most patient and cunning of hunters can be caught by surprise, and that the hippo, despite its size, possesses a speed and ferocity that is truly terrifying. The hunt from hell. On a separate, equally harrowing occasion, a young hippo calf, separated from its mother, fell victim to the most cunning of all predators, a Nile crocodile. The crocodile's attack was swift and merciless. It emerged from the water like a phantom, its massive jaws snapping shut on the tiny calf. The calf fought with a desperation that was heartbreaking to witness, but it was no match for the crocodile's raw power. The water ran red as the crocodile performed its infamous death roll, tearing its prey to pieces. It was a brutal end, a scene that makes your stomach turn. But the hippo's mother, having finally located her calf, arrived a moment too late. Her sorrow was palpable, a loud, bellowing roar of grief and rage that echoed across the water. She charged the crocodile, a terrifying, unstoppable force, but the predator was long gone, leaving only a blood-stained memory behind. It was a grim reminder of the circle of life, a brutal, unforgiving cycle that plays out every day in the wild. A river of blood. Another crocodile, a true giant of its kind, had managed to capture a young hippo and was tearing it apart on the riverbank. The scene was one of pure chaos and brutality. The crocodile twisted and turned, thrashing its prey against the water's surface, a gruesome ballet of death. The sight and smell of blood attracted another crocodile, and soon the two predators were locked in a savage battle over the remains. It was a feeding frenzy, a display of primal greed and aggression that was both horrifying and fascinating to watch. The first crocodile, unwilling to share its prize, hurled the mangled carcass onto the muddy bank, clambering out of the water to retrieve it. It was a grim spectacle, a window into the savage reality of the natural world. The lion's close call. As we've seen, lions and hippos have a complicated relationship. In this next scene, we witness 3 male lions attempting to cross a river, a seemingly routine task. But the river was home to a territorial hippo, a massive bull that saw their presence as an invasion. The hippo raced towards them like a torpedo, creating a huge wave as it dashed through the water at a terrifying speed. It chose one of the lions and pursued it in a fearsome chase. The lion fought for its life, splashing desperately to escape the hippo's powerful jaws. Luckily, it managed one last panicked leap onto the muddy bank. Just at the same moment, the hippo's massive mouth snapped shut right behind it. It was a hair-raising close call. If the lion had been just a second too late, the hippo would have gobbled it to pieces in front of its friends. The ultimate humiliation, a pride of lions, a symbol of strength and unity, was resting on the riverbank. They were relaxed, confident, and completely unprepared for what was about to happen. A single massive hippo, without any provocation, suddenly charged the entire pride. It was a show of force, a blatant act of aggression that sent the lions scattering. The hippo lunged into a furious charge, scattering the apex predators, who hastily tried to avoid being crushed by the giant beast. The lions, momentarily stunned, quickly regrouped and deployed their trademark hit-and-run tactics, charging back and forth to test the massive intruder. But the hippo was not intimidated. It was a battle of wills, and the hippo, realizing it had overreached, wisely turned around and retreated to the safety of the water before the situation got out of hand. It was a rare and humbling sight, watching the king of the jungle retreat from a single enraged hippo. An unlikely show of bravery. You won't find any other creature on Earth that won't immediately flee upon encountering an angry rhino, except hippos. These huge animals don't just fight back, they actually actively seek out altercations with the biological tanks we call rhinos. As you can see here, two hippos stepped out of the water to confront a rhino that simply wanted a drink of water. One of them pushed and bit the rhino relentlessly, driving it to the muddy bank and eventually forcing it into the water. The rhino lost its footing and fell, and the hippo completely overpowered it by snapping its massive jaws shut. It was a stunning reversal of roles, a testament to the hippo's fearlessness and raw power. A cowardly bully, this rhino tried to play the tough guy and charged a young hippopotamus calf to intimidate it. The little calf quickly ran away, but as soon as its mother saw what was happening, she confronted the rhino and was able to drive it off with a single loud growl. What a cowardly bully! Intimidating a small newborn and then running away with his tail between his legs. All because of a quick growl from a real opponent. This rhino doesn't deserve his horn. A dominant display, usually it asks the crocodiles that sneak up on other animals out of the water and scare them to death. But this time, the roles were reversed. This giant hippo deliberately emerged from the river to confront a large crocodile resting on the muddy bank. The two animals engaged in a brief showdown. The crocodile snapped its jaws defensively, only to be met with a far more intimidating display. The hippo lunged forward and opened its huge mouth in a massive, aggressive yawn. This overwhelming demonstration of power was very effective and caused the crocodile to retreat, while the hippopotamus, after establishing its dominance, calmly turned around to signal to its youngster that it was safe to get out of the water. What an impressive display of power! Did you like this video? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell to be notified whenever we upload a new video. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.